Hi, this is Gary D. Tonicourt from morethanasnapshot.com. This week we have some more great images to look at from our students, and we'll start with these nice, looks like first birthday portraits. And I think in the few images that you put up, you did a lot of things right, and a few things that we'll need to talk about. Um, on the right side, I like how you really took some time to think about and plan and set up how you wanted the shot to look. You have some nice clothes, interesting props, um, little number one and the little blackboard. The setup is pretty good. Um, the wrinkled pink and white background, I don't like the wrinkly look of it. Maybe something different with that, or maybe a tight shot of the baby, maybe only with the blackboard. I'm not quite sure. It's interesting on this shot the way the baby's pointing to the blackboard. That's a great job of catching the expression. Um, the major problem with the shot is it's blurry. You can see the motion blur in the hands, and it's just not real sharp, and that's just a real image killer. Um, and the lighting is a little bit flat, which means that we don't see a real big difference between the highlight side and a shadow side. So if there'll be another cake smash shot coming up later, take a look at that one and you'll see the difference in the lighting. Here a little bit closer up, so I think that works probably a little bit better. But again, we still have the major motion blur problem going on. I don't know if you were doing this with natural light or with maybe with tungsten lights or something. Maybe that's why you're getting so much blur. But if you used speed lights or studio strobes, you would get much crisper shots without that motion blur. This shot is nice. You got the action of the cake smash, and I like the way the background looks a little bit better this time. It's kind of like the composition of this one. But the lighting, again, this one is really flat. We don't see any highlights really at all. Here's some more cake smash type shots, baby images. And this one on the left, I really like because you caught a really great expression. And you can see what I was talking about with the lighting here. There is a highlight side. You can see the highlight on the baby. And then there is a shadow side. And that really helps add dimension to the shot. It's not such flat lighting. And you can really see the highlight side versus the shadow side much better on this one. And so the lighting is a bit better, and the background and the floor are it's a bit cleaner setup, I think. Um, and I think you did a great job here, Ashley, right? I really like this shot. I like it in black and white, and the exposure looks good, and I really like everything about it. A few things that we could work on is your light is, to me, too low, and you can see that the highlight in your eye is very low in your eye, and therefore it's causing the shadow around your nose, what we would normally call loop lighting. It's causing that loop to be way up here on the side when it should be down here. So try adjusting your light at a 45-degree angle from you and a 45-degree angle down towards you, and you'll get more of the loop down under your nose, and you'll get the catch light higher in your eye, and it'll make a more pleasing lighting pattern on your face. The background, I would go either a little darker or a little lighter, but you do have separation. I can see the difference between your black shirt and the background, so that's good. The other thing you could consider to try working on is to create more separation. You could use either a rim light where the light is hitting you in the back, or a background light where the light is hitting the background. And that helps to create more separation between the subject and the background. But when you look at this image as a little thumbnail, it really catches your eye, and that's how you know that you've got a captivating image. So a good job. On the post-processing part, you might spend a little time coming in here and maybe getting rid of a few little hairs that are sort of flying away. But good job. This image is really nice. The lighting on it is really nice and interesting. We do have a highlight side and a shadow side, and it's nice and sharp and crisp throughout. And so I think this is a great image. Of your flower shots that you put in, I think this one is my favorite of the group. And you may have some slight areas of overexposure, like right here. These are getting close, but they're probably not quite there. But this definitely right here. So you got to watch out when you take the shot. Make sure that you're not overexposing anything. This is such a small amount. If you are using a program like Lightroom or whatever, you can probably pull this back. Although that is pulling back everything too much. I'm going to try just using the brush tool, and we'll pull the exposure back just a little bit. And I probably would go over these highlights a little bit here too, just a touch. Just so we're not overexposing those areas at all. And that's probably a little bit better. We probably would hit a little bit of these here too. And maybe soften it up just a bit. Alright, so good job on this image. I really like that one. This one I like, but not as much as the last one. The light seems to be very hard, and we have this big black hole over here. So it seems like most of the action in the shot is over here on the left, and that's like all crowded in the left, and then there's this big empty space here on the right. So I think that's the problem with this one. And this shot, it's just the this is the center of attention, and it's fine. It looks like it's sharp. The exposure is good. It's not overexposed. And it's just, to me, not as exciting, I guess. And there's some distraction back here. And in fact, this stuff back here might be a bit overexposed, or at least it's brighter than what's in the foreground, which is grabbing my eye to up here. So if you were to crop all of that out, I think it would be much better. I don't know if there is a good crop that will accomplish that, but let's try something like this. Yes, even that is better. And it might go super close, because you do have this white highlight here. Maybe we could just get rid of all of that. Yeah, and I prefer that right there much better. Well, here we have an interesting image. Maybe you were trying to go for some, moody night type scene. We have interesting boats that have interesting wood texture. But I don't think you pulled it off, because the shot is severely underexposed, and there's like no light on it. There's no highlight, there's no shadow. It's just an even dark. And we have some strange things going on out here in the water that look like, almost like they're, what do you call those things? Flare. It's light flare or something, but it's not flare. It just looks like strange color patterns in the water. But I think the biggest problem is it's too dark, and there's no light to highlight anything. I think the boats are cool, and I like the way the boats are composed and pointing in a certain direction, except that there's nothing, the boats are not pointing at anything. If there had been some counterbalance, something out here, that would help too. Here we have a new student's self-portrait, and a creative idea, like how you caught the reflection in the glasses. I'm not seeing any major technical problems. And maybe it could use a little bit of contrast, so I'll bring the blacks down a little bit. And good job and welcome to the class. And here we have another self-portrait, and I really like this one. In the way you set it up, it shows us a story of how you like photography, and you are nice and sharp and not overexposed, and the background is nice and blurred out, and I like seeing some of the little flowers back here, a little bit of color. I think the one thing that bothers me about this image is these flowers right here. They are kind of conflicting and merging with your hand, and I think that that's what's hurting this image. Without those flowers, I think this would be a stronger image. In this image, I like the snow in front, and you posing in the corner is fine and everything, but I think there's just too much of everything else going on in the photo, and having the snow in front of your face and then having a pole right behind your head, that's a whole bunch of mergers that are distracting from the main subject. The exposure looks pretty good. The snow does appear to be white. You do seem to be in focus, which is good. So I think you did most of it right, but I think there's just too much distraction all throughout the background. This one is really well done. I really like this one. Nice and sharp. There's nice lighting. Again, you can see there's a highlight side to the face and a shadow side to the face. And, just a pleasing expression. The exposure and everything looks good. The only thing that I would maybe say is it feels a little bit cramped on this side. Maybe it was cropped a little tight over here. But other than that, it's a pretty nice job. Welcome to the class. And I really like the concept of this shot, and I like the composition. It's a fun and interesting shot, but it does have some problems, like the serious overexposure on the shoes, on the water, even in the white spots in the pants. It's unfortunate that was so overexposed. But everything else about the shot I really like. It tells a story, and the composition is pretty good. So you're on the right track. I mean, getting this kind of storytelling and composition is the big important thing here, and you nailed it. So now it's the easy part. Now you just got to learn a little bit more about composition. About getting the right exposure so you don't have this overexposure problem. So good job. In this shot, I don't really get it. To me, it looks like a picture of some blurry Tupperware. So I don't get it at all. And I'm seeing a lot of noise and a lot of blur. And the important thing you got to remember, it's okay to have an artsy shot where you have some motion blur, but generally speaking, to pull off that kind of a shot, you generally need something in the picture to be sharp, some detail for the eye to rest on. Unless the overall abstract pattern, you can tell what it is and it has a pleasing pattern. There are some shots that can get away with that, but I don't think this one does. You can see here from the histogram and the way the image looks that there's a huge overexposed area, and I'm assuming you did that on purpose. And it creates this one. I'll give you it could be considered an interesting artistic effect that you've created here, overexposing on purpose. But what you see, what it did is you're bringing up the exposure on the child too. It revealed all of this blotchy noise, and I can see where some may have see some appeal to this kind of effect, but as a photograph, it's totally not what you should be aiming for. So as digital art, you might have some arguments. As a photograph, it's just way overexposed, way too noisy, and it begins to look really cut out. And that's the last image. So thanks for submitting images this week. Y'all did a great job, and I hope to see some more great images next week.